Okay, so this is going to be one of our first coding videos, and I went ahead and picked one from Lesson 6, this challenge activity, the 10th one, because it does a couple of things for us. It really helps us identify this idea of patterns and how important they are in coding, especially when we use them with the loop or the repeat button. And then this new block shows up, this alpha block. It is sort of weird, but what this alpha block does, as you can see over here in the game window, that it makes things transparent or translucent, meaning when it draws a color or it illustrates something, you can kind of see through it. So that's what that alpha block does. And if you see that in later lessons, you'll know what you can do with it. Now, on to the most important part, identifying these proper patterns. So the first thing that I would do, seeing this, is I know that I'm over the number of blocks that I'm supposed to use. Try to identify a pattern. And a quick look at all of the code here shows me that seems to be this whole moving forward by 80 pixels, then turning right by 45 degrees. Now you're not going to have to set the color every single time, but if we sort of break the code up, we can see all of the patterns as they reoccur. And once we separate them all out, it also makes it easier to identify how many times we're going to have to actually repeat that section of code. So a quick count tells me for here and for here that I'll have to repeat this main section of code 8 times in order to produce the figure in the game space. So that's when I bring my repeat block over. I set the pattern of code that I've identified inside the repeat block. And if you really wanted to, you could move all of this stuff to clean up your workspace because you don't need it anymore, or you can just leave it there. As long as these aren't attached to anything, it's not going to interfere when you run the program. Now what I want to do before I solve this correctly is show you that whenever a challenge pops up, it'll let you know that you're working on a challenge, but you don't always have to finish it perfectly. And what I mean by that is, I know I'm supposed to repeat this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times for a perfect completion because there's 8 sides on this shape. But let's say I just put in 5 because I've identified the pattern correctly and used the repeat block, giving me the only 5 blocks that I need. When I run it, it will count it as though I've completed the challenge. So once again, when you try to complete a challenge, you don't always have to get it perfect.